Hey, I'm Anthony Romano, and this video is going to tell you why you should start lifting weights with a waist belt, okay? I know this sounds ridiculous, and you're probably thinking of the funky, corsets and, shopping channel BS, okay? But this is actually something that can have a super powerful effect on your physique as far as aesthetics go, and maximizing your body's look for very, very easy input. But at the same time, there's actually a lot of other benefits as far as performance go, and keeping a stable core, supporting your back, other benefits like that. But I'm going to get into it in this video and tell you why you should do this. It's so cheap, it's so easy, and essentially it can really maximize your physique. Okay, so why should you use a waist belt when you're training? Okay, lots of people use these bodybuilder, tough guy belts, and those accomplish a very similar thing, a very similar result when we're talking about the lifting performance benefits, okay? Creating intra-abdominal pressure and stabilizing your core, allowing you to have more force production because your core is stable above and below your body, okay? Of course, this is the same reason, okay? And if you don't already own one of those belts, I encourage you to just get one like this because it has way more benefit and applicability. So what is the other applicability for this? This stuff, if you keep it on during the daytime at some point, it can shrink the space and the water in between your organs, so that there's never any bloating beyond what is necessary to be there, okay? And this is how you can truly shock somebody with your physique, okay? This can really create more compactness in the abs and really create a physique that is eye-catching.
Tickets, please. Dude, I'm sure you've got so many tickets at this point. Jesus, the tickets please guy is cut.
There are plenty of bodybuilders who use this technique, and I've spoken about this in other videos. There are classic bodybuilders who use this technique. It goes back into the days of the golden era, and it also goes into modern day with Artemis Dolgan and other bodybuilders. I've fortunately trained with Artemis Dolgan and spoken to him about this topic, but it is a very critical technique you'd use to maximize your physique without any extra stress, okay? Because you don't have to really do much besides wear something, okay? And that seems too gimmicky and too good to be true, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference.
You've got the ideal body from old school, which is the broad shoulders and the small waist.
Totally.
And I know you told me that you wear a waistband all day.
Right there.
Right there, this. And, this is like an old school thing. I used to get the rubber waist belt, and I'd wear it all day and sweat. And at the end of the day, my waist would be all shriveled down. Yeah. I mean, it really kept it small.
It shrinks water between your organs, and,
right.
And it has a really long-term effect if you wear it consistently.
Consistently, yeah.
And I think it's also a combination of exercising and diet.
And when we're talking about performance benefits, this is something that I can only say based on my personal experience, and you will have to notice it. And if you've ever used a bodybuilding weightlifting belt, it's a very comparable effect. So let's get into how this is actually going to shape your physique, because there's a phenomenon called the Adonis effect, and this has been studied in scientific literature, and that basically is the space between a man's shoulder and waist and the ratio between those two measurements. For women, there's also a very powerful attractiveness effect that's altered based on her shoulder, waist, and hip ratio. So there's different ratios for each of those, but wearing one of these things can really maximize that anyways. And essentially, the way a physique is eye-catching and has that wow effect,
Jesus,
is from the shoulder to waist ratio. At least on a man, and for a woman, it's the shoulders, waist, and hips. Mostly the waist and hips. And the thing is, not many people are aware that that is the primary indicator of what makes something, a physique, look appealing. This, I guess, in an evolutionary standpoint, it's an indication of the cross-body, power that a male would have. Okay? And a lot of times we look at things in a comparative sense where you can only really tell how wide somebody's shoulders are if you also can see how their waist is, right? It's very relative, and you need perspective on things. So when you see a picture of someone standing by themselves, you might not know how tall they are, okay? But then when you see a picture of them next to somebody else, their height can become more apparent if they're a short person or a tall person. And it's a very similar effect to how we perceive other bodies, okay? And that's how it applies to men and women. And simply, a way to make that extra little difference, it's only a matter of a couple inches with a waist belt that can simply shrink the waist a little bit more and also train the inner muscles of your abdomen to maintain that narrow position, okay? And again, this is not something that you're pushing to the point where you're going to harm yourself. If you're wearing this thing in a very appropriate manner, and you're not like buying one that really, really tightens up and squeezes your organs, you will not experience any sort of problems or issues with this. I'd say maybe if you have some digestive issues, then maybe don't squeeze your stomach cavity, your abdominal cavity too much. But realistically, if you're using this like a regular, person would, you should be totally fine. And my preferred way to use this is after or during a fast and a fasted workout, or even in general when you are requiring more force above or below your center, your core. In the past, I've said before, I've had, minor muscular back injuries when I was younger, and I had to wear one of these things anyways for sports because I had, muscle problems in my back from growing pains and, benign stuff like that. But it actually makes a huge difference in terms of your stability in your back, and people wear this for work, manual labor, things of that nature anyways. So you can kill two birds with one stone if you get one of these things anyways, and in my opinion, it's a far better investment than an actual bodybuilding weightlifting belt. Besides the fact that you aren't going to look cool if you wear this over top of your clothing. But really, who really cares about that? So if you made it this far in the video, I thank you for watching it. And I'd also encourage you to watch my video on the 3 home workout items you should get if there's another possible lockdown or anything like that, or gym closures in your area. Because this waist belt and 2 other items that are so cheap and easy can really maximize your home workouts and essentially really help you level up your physique, even if you have to train at home for whoever knows how long that may be.